What advice would you give to yourself looking back now at 18? What advice would you give?
Be more confident. Care less about what other people think and care a whole lot less about pleasing people.
This is Entrepreneurs the Playbook, where I give you access each week to the world's greatest athletes and executives about their personal and professional playbook and what has made them champions on and off the field. This is the Playbook. This is Dave Meltzer, CEO of Sports One Marketing with Entrepreneur the Playbook, and I am so excited because we are launching Women's Entrepreneur, and I've been looking for some true women entrepreneur. We started with Danica Patrick, and now I have Olya Hill. And Olya has an extraordinary, not only background, but presence. And I want to get to that because during the playbook, we like to know, how do you get to the place you are? And there's so many young women, including my 3 daughters, that, as I told them we were meeting today, we're excited to figure out, like, how do you do it, especially because you're facing and have faced more challenges than my daughters will face, thanks to you and people like Danica. But give us a little bit of background. I know you come from Ukraine?
Ukraine, yes.
Tell me about what that was like and how you end up where we are.
Well, first of all, it's an honor, especially to be in such a company and to be interviewed, so thank you for that. As far as the background, yes, I come from Ukraine, from a very, very regimented background, very standard, very traditional, which has pluses and minuses. But the minus of it was that it was too constricting and too by the book and too predictable of what everyone is expected to do. So I moved to US to build the dream rather than fit in the
And how old were you?
stencil. 18.
18.
Barely turned
And
18.
a lot of people have to go against, I always say, best piece of advice is just because someone loves you doesn't mean they give you good advice. And
Right.
so when you make a major move at 18, you probably had some resistance from family members?
Well, they were actually very supportive. They didn't quite realize where they were sending me to. So, I mean, they knew that it was for a dream, and they imagined, we all had rose-colored glasses, and they imagined this beautiful land where there's no problem, as everybody thinks outside of U.S., that U.S. has zero problems.
Until now. They realize we have problems now.
I think even now they think that it's just a free land, that you can make anything happen. The truth is you can.
You
can do it legally, which
Right.
is a privilege and a benefit that not many countries can actually say that they can allow for that. You don't have to deal with bureaucracy. You can actually do what you want to do, and if you work hard, there are ways for all those things to happen.
Yeah.
And so that's where it started, is with the move to United States, and then the path. I moved to explore the career of modern dance, because it was not 20 years ago, which was the move. It was not anywhere available, really readily available or understood in Europe, or especially Eastern Europe. It just didn't exist. I wanted to learn from the roots, from Isadora Duncan and from all the Martha Graham and from all the foundation, the absolute masters, and learn from them, because it's the best. And so that was the start of my path that led me to where I am today. It is through creativity, through challenges that I had to overcome as an 18-year-old who had no clue what I was doing in the world, who really had no sense of the world. This move shaped me as a person, shaped me as a professional, shaped me, turned me into the person I am today, a mother I am today.
What was your biggest fear at 18 when you came here?
That I'll fail.
Really?
That I will fail. That was my biggest fear. My fear was that I will fail and I will have to turn back and go back and hear, "We told you so." And because I know I would. And even though my parents were wonderful and they were always calling me back and saying, if it's too difficult, just come back. But I knew that coming back would mean to, put a cross on what I really wanted to have in my life. And there was no way for me to receive it back there. 2, I knew that then I would be put into much stricter conditions, and I would be told to do exactly what they want me to do, and I would have no more wiggle room for trying anything different for myself or building anything. So that was big enough of a fear and a drive to just keep burying my way forward.
And when you came to America, where did you go? To BYU? Or?
No, at first it's skipped hopped. I went, originally was supposed to stay with the friend that my mom, who's an interpreter, she met through one of the trips she was translating for. But as I arrived, quite literally off the plane, they didn't meet me and they said, we actually changed our minds. And so you can go back, or we can maybe show you around and you can figure out what you want to do. So I went with the second one.
Yeah.
I went with the show me around a little bit, and they showed me around, and then the first couple of weeks they showed me what America is, and you can go here, you can go there, you can go different places. And so I applied everywhere where I could. I applied to the universities. BYU was the cheapest and the ones who offered me the best scholarship, where they paid for everything.
Nice.
And I just had to make my own living expenses. And so, I climbed to them while auditioning for all the New York companies, and then going and doing internships. And it was a challenge because I dealt with a lot of legal issues because I was very limited. I was limited to stay, I could stay in the United States for as long as I wanted to, for as long as I was a student. That was the visa that was provided to me, but that also limited me on the ability to work. So I could not work more than 20 hours. So it was a very, very tight budget, but I could intern for free anywhere where I wanted. And that's what was laying the path for me, is taking every and all the opportunities that I could.
Through that process, was there one moment that you remember that you were like, you know what, I should just go back home?
There was this fear of going back home once,
Yeah.
but there was never I should go back. There was once I was faced with a situation where, like I said, I was legally always need to stay within very small frames, and there was a moment in transition between one university to the other where I had to go back home to ensure that my visas are redone the right way. And going back into that unknown and knowing that potentially I could be denied visa and I could not come back, and having that fear that I could stay, that was very hard. But the drive was there to make it happen, and I did. So at the end of the day.
Perfect. Now, you obviously had a breakthrough in your life, and many people, they think, say, and do the right things. They work very hard, and you know that in the Ukraine and in the U.S. We both have many friends, family, and associates that they seem to think, say, and do all the right things. They work really hard, but they can't seem to break through. Now, I believe that people have an unconscious competency. They have a subconscious belief system that some have and some don't, that allow you to break through. What do you think it is that allowed you to break through and become, the success that you are, coming from absolutely nothing and a fear of going back?
$326, that's what I came to US with.
There you go.
Literally.
That's awesome. Good thing it was 20 years ago, because that's worth at least $500 today.
Didn't buy me much. I can still remember my $60 food budgets a month. I mean, that was some time. But one, I think there's three things for me. One, the dream. Knowing that the dream. Two, going for that dream and knowing what you are willing to sacrifice, because there are going to be sacrifices. Three, for me, working, knowing and doing, or saying all the right things, exactly what you said, and working very hard, harder than you ever had, and then tripling that.
So
That's
hard work
what it
is very Eastern European hard work, and I get that. What advice, now that you are you married?
Married.
Married with 7 children. I would hope you were married still. All those kids.
Married,
I grew up with
yeah.
6. I get it. You're a hero. 7
Every
children,
mom is a
married.
hero, so.
What advice would you give to yourself, looking back now at 18? What advice would you give?
Be more confident. Care less about what other people think, and care a whole lot less about pleasing people.
I hear you.
A whole lot less about making other people happy, because I've learned, as it comes, at the end of the day, everybody wants to make sure that their path is straight and laid for them. And so hasn't always worked out to be very kind at personal expense.
Yeah, as a young woman and as a father of young women, especially my oldest, she's a pleaser. She wants everyone to love her.
Yeah.
Can you share an experience where because I think a lot of young women and men, right? I was a pleaser, but I think they need to hear a story about when you put yourself at a detriment because you were worried about what other people thought or pleasing other people. Is there a certain story you can share with us?
Yeah, there's a great story that comes to mind right now. I was in a wonderful relationship with one of the dance directors, highly respected. He was from Europe, amazing, talented man. I don't know what I wouldn't have done for him in professional sense, of course, that I sacrificed my everything. I was working off the trust. I sacrificed every hour of my day, hours with the family for the work because we believed in the better, amazing creation of the work. When it came the end of the day, and it was between, there arose a situation where his work ethic was questioned by higher standing authorities. When it came to the end of the day, he didn't care about any of us, and particularly when I worked with him on a very, very close situation. We co-choreographed the piece together, and it was his name on the everywhere on the programs and everything, and nowhere mention of mine. And when asked and presented, he said, well, it's a career choice that I had to make. I'm sorry. I understand you're mad, but I'm sorry. And that was a big realization that, you know what, less working to please and making for people to like me and be a pleasant person to work with, because at the end of the day, these stories come, and it was a big killer for me because it was an important program and it was an important show, and it would have been very important for me to be recognized there, and I wasn't. And I realized that when choice is given, everybody will pick what's best for them. And so that's what, if you want to achieve something, that's what you should cling to.
That's a really great point. I had a similar experience in the financial world where I helped take a company public, and my mentor who was teaching me to take that public, I brought the company, and millions of dollars were made. But in the end, because it was a big win for him, I never even got my shares. Yeah. And I learned an important lesson, I think it's true for you too, is that not only stick up for yourself, but I have a great line about documenting things. So as I tell people,
documenting everything. No trust. If trust is there, then there's no problem signing a document.
Exactly. I don't even use that because I use my memory. I'll tell people, I say, you know what? I have a horrible memory. Would you mind? Let's put this in writing. I'm like, let's put it in writing so I can remember everything. Yeah, everything I promised to do for you, because an agreement has, we both promised to do these things, right?
Yeah.
So I've always, and it was a great piece of advice, learned, hey, I have a horrible memory. Let's write it all down so I can remember exactly what I'm supposed to do for you. Does that sound fair? And everybody, because then you really know if there's trust.
Then you really know, exactly.
And I appreciate your story because it's more, that documentation is more the execution of you standing up for yourself.
Yes.
And I'm going to ask you another question, because I think a lot of it, because we both grew up with nothing, pleasers, and a lot of that is more an energy that we carry that we're not worthy. Was that ever something that you felt?
Was definitely, and particularly coming from a professional dance background, particularly being trained in classical dance and other dance, you never reach a limit that is enough. You are never enough. You are never 100% worth it. There's always something that you can be critiqued and criticized for. And particularly in Eastern European culture, that's a really, I think everyone keeps pushing their plank higher and higher and higher. So that was definitely something that took me years, and I'm glad that my adulthood was shaped by US, because it's a very different mentality here. And in general, that definitely helped me to reshape, although it has taken years, but to reshape the self-worth. And once that has happened, as we transitioned to a different business, that definitely is a huge part, understanding your worth, understanding that you are worth something. And not everybody has to be your team, mate and playmate. But there is someone who understands your worth.
Yeah, your frequency, right? And not everyone's going to love your frequency.
On your frequency, you will attract the people who are within your vibe.
That's so funny because, millions of people follow you and you're a great blogger and you inspire so many women and moms, et cetera. And I'm, a big fan for what you do. But the truth is that, and you and I have similar followings, we own about this much of the market. And, I was with Gary Vee yesterday and we joked around. He's like, Dave, I'd rather have, there's 3.2 billion people on the internet and growing. He goes, I'd rather have 3 billion people hate me and think that I'm a moron, but 0.2 billion think I'm a genius at my frequency and will buy my tennis shoes that I launched yesterday, or hire me to speak, or I do business coaching. And he's like, because that's only 200 million people. In history, not only do we live in the US, but when have we had an opportunity to create our own audience around the world with the freedoms that the United States give us to monetize that? As a mom, what do you think is the biggest challenge? This is in my business coaching, the question that I get, because I believe that when we get a little bit older, we go through a quantum shift. And women and men have a different quantum shift. And purpose is really a lot of a mom's quantum shift that they go through. They have sacrificed so much, even if they only have one child, but 7, probably a little more.
I think every mom sacrifices. And sacrifices the most of what she can. So I'm not defined by the number of children.
But how do you, or what would you give advice for to be able to live on purpose, but still be the extraordinary mom that you are?
For me, and I can only speak for myself, of course, but for me, I must be who I am first before I am a mom. So for me, I had to find the self-fulfillment and be a person and find whatever it is that makes me be me before we moved on to having a family. And after having kids, for me to be a mom, the best mom that I can be for them, I must remain myself.
That's all. Now I'm going to ask you a hard question. Sorry. So, who are you?
Today, I do many hats, but today I see myself as, of course, I'm a dancer, is natural. That's a huge part of it, but a creator. The dancer morphed into a creator, and today I truly am a creator of many things. One of the ones that I love the most is creating different campaigns that we do, creating content that we do, connecting a connector. Creator of connections, if you will, to connect people that are like I was at the start of the beginning of their path and the start of their life. They're trying to find their path and giving them that which I have never been given: information, resources, abilities to build their own life custom to them, the way they wanted, without having to sacrifice this, because you really don't have to. If you only know where to look, and that's what I am. I am that connection source in between.
That's awesome. Now, do you think your creativity comes from you or through you?
Through.
Yeah.
Absolutely through.
I figured you'd say that. All right, last question. You've had an extraordinary journey so far. When it's all said and done, with your beautiful family, your community that you're building, your frequency that I love, what legacy would you like to leave?
I would love for people, and I just would love for people to connect the LivingNotes to kind of like a lighthouse. I would like for LivingNotes to be remained, and that's what our goal is, to grow it, so even when I'm not there, that it still remains to be a lighthouse for them to be able to find the resources and build their own paths in all: parenting, life, personal self, whatever it is that they need.
That's beautiful. I wish we had more time. I loved having you.
Thank you.
Olya, you're an amazing
pleasure.
woman. I look forward to, I'm going to show this to my girls, and hopefully they'll be following you even more and asking you questions. You're an extreme role model, and you should be very proud of yourself. This is Dave Meltzer with Olya Hill, an extraordinary woman with Entrepreneur, the Playbook.